Ladies and gentlemen, we've been getting some great requests in the podcast channel from our good follower Ryan Thompson. Thompson, he has a fascination, which he should, like a lot of people should, with some of the talents of the late 1800s in Major League Baseball. Now, this guy, what he did in baseball, it has to be heard to believe. There's not that much tape on the guy besides maybe some old newsreels when he was interviewed later. But Amos Wilson Rusie, better known as Amos Rusie, the Hoosier Thunderbolt, was an American right-handed pitcher in Major League Baseball during the late 19th century. He had a 10-season career which led him to the Baseball Hall of Fame in the National League, which consisted of one season with the iconic Indianapolis Hoosiers in 1889, eight with the New York Giants from 1990 to 1898, and of course a recovery season with the Reds in 1901. Now, born in Seattle, no, died in Seattle again, 1942 at the age of 71. He is best known for the speed at which he pitched a baseball. The velocity of his fastball was unknown, but has been estimated that he threw in the mid to upper 90s, so he was technically the first fireballer we know of. He led the league in strikeouts 5 times and won 20 more games 8 times. Though he did not throw hard, he did not have good control of his pitches, leading the league in walks 5 times and being seventh all time among the career pitching leaders in that category. In 1890, get this, ladies and gentlemen, he walked 289 batters, the all-time single season record. In 1897, one of his fastballs unfortunately struck future Hall of Fame shortstop Huey Jennings in the head, rendering him comatose for 4 days before recovery. Rusie's wildness has been a catalyst for officials to change the distance from the pitching rubber, the back line of pitching, to the front. Now, you see in modern baseball that the current 60 feet 6 inches is de rigueur, but back then it was 55 feet 6 inches. This ruling was made effective for 1893 at the peak of Rusie's pitching prowess. The distance change had not reduced his effectiveness, as he led the association to strikeouts for 3 straight seasons afterward, while also winning what later was known as the pitching Triple Crown in 1894. For his accomplishments, he was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1977 by the Veterans Committee. Now, born in Mooresville, Indiana in 1871 to plasterer William Asbury Rusie and his wife Mary Donovan, when he was still young, his family moved to nearby Indianapolis, where he eventually quit school to work in a factory. It was during this time when he was playing for a semi-pro Indianapolis baseball squad named the Sturm Avenue Never Sweats. The scouts first took notice of the speed with which he threw a baseball and his effectiveness as a pitcher when he shut out the touring NL baseball teams, the Boston Bean Eaters and the Washington Senators. In 1889, the age of 18, he signed with the Burlington Babies of the Central Interstate League. However, he was signed shortly thereafter by the Hoosiers of the NL and made his major league debut on May 9th in a 32 loss to the Cleveland Blues, pitching in relief of starting pitcher Jim Whitney. In 33 games during his first campaign, he posted a 12-10 record, starting 22, completing 19, and had 1 shutout. Although his fastball was difficult to hit, he did not have good control of it, walking 116 batters in 225 innings pitched, although he struck out 109 and led the league with 11 games finished as a relief pitcher. Now, there was no saves at the time. Now, the Hoosiers disbanded at the end of the 1889 season, and on March 22nd, 1890, he, along with many of his teammates, were transferred to the Giants by the league to strengthen the NL's largest market. Coming into the 1890 season, Rusie filled the starting position that was vacated by future Hall of Famer Tim Keefe, who had joined the Giants in the newly formed Players League, or the PL. Instead of evenly splitting pitching duties with Mickey Welch, another Hall of Fame player, as Keefe had done the preceding 5 seasons, he started 62 games to Welch's 37. Now, Rusie quickly became a sensation among fans, media, and society, owing to the combination of his handsomeness, his pitching velocity, and physical size at 6'1", 200 pounds, which was considered huge for the era. The fans began calling him the Hoosier Thunderbolt, while famed vaudeville Weber and Fields used his name for a paperback book, Secrets of Amos Rusie, the World's Greatest Pitcher, How He Obtained His Incredible Speed on Balls, was available for a quarter. A drink was also named after him, and he received a message from the popular performer Lillian Russell. We don't know what the message is. Now, on May 9th, the Giants defeated the Boston Beaneaters by a score of 16-3, doing so by committing no errors, very rare for the era, and with Rusie allowing just 6 hits. 3 days later, on May 12th, he was on the winning side of a pitching duel with future Hall of Famer Kid Nicholas in a game that ended with a home run by the Giants' Mike Terrian in the 13th inning. The home run was described as a tape measure shot, sailing over the outfield fence and landing in an adjacent baseball field, Brotherhood Park, where a PL game was being played at the same time, causing fans of both parks to cheer. Now, Rusie completed the season with 67 games pitched, 62 games started, 56 complete games, 4 shutouts, 548 innings pitched, a 2.56 ERA, and a league-leading total of 341 strikeouts, the highest seasonal total he would have in his career. Due to the lack of control of his pitches, however, he also led the league with 289 walks, the all-time record for a season, and had 36 wild pitches, another total that topped the league. The Giants finished in 6th place among the 8 NL teams, while Rusie won 29 games and had a league-leading 34 losses. As a hitter, he also had a successful season with a 278 batting average in 284 at-bats, 30 doubles, 6 triples, and 31 runs scored. Rusie also had a big romantic year. He married Mae Smith in Muncie, Indiana on October 8, 1890 in the Delaware County Clerk's office. Now, after the demise of the PL following the 1890 season, the Giants absorbed many of the players who had been on the crosstown rivals roster. Future Hall of Famer Roger Connor, Jim O'Rourke, Buck Ewing, and Tim Keefe simply returned to the team, as well as George Gore, while John Ewing and Danny Richardson were new signings, solidifying both a powerful hitting lineup and a solid pitching rotation for the 1891 season. While the upgraded Giants improved their final standings by finishing in 3rd place among 8 teams in the NL and had a 4-game lead over the Cubs on June 16th when Rusie held them scoreless, and were 2.5 games behind the Colts on September 19th, they eventually were 13 games back at the end of the season, a late-year collapse. After being on the losing end of a no-hitter by Tom Lovett of the Brooklyn Bridegrooms on June 22nd, Rusie returned the favor by throwing one of his own against them just a month later on July 31st. After winning both games of a doubleheader against the Bridegrooms in September, Rusie and several other star players were rested for the remainder of the season for a 5-game series against the Boston Beaneaters. Rusie's 337 strikeouts and 262 bases on balls led the league for the second consecutive year, and his 6 shutouts marked the first time he led the league in that category. His record improved to 33-20, and he followed it up in 1892 with a record of 32-31, 304 strikeouts, second best to Bill Hutchison, and 270 walks. Now, after the 1892 season, and a move that was orchestrated by Giants owner Andrew Friedman, Rusie was released in a move to get him to sign a new contract for less money. It was a typical move for a man who was considered both malevolent and stingy to his players. Despite a gentleman's agreement between the owners not to sign him, the White Stockings picked him up for $82.50, which included a $2,000 bonus. The chagrined Giants bought the contract back and even had the temerity to try to count the bonus money as part of his salary. With the pitching area being moved back in 1893, Rusie's strikeout total dropped to 208, and he was still the league leader. The 1893 campaign was a truly extraordinary one for Rusie, with 50 complete games and 52 starts, and went 33-21. In 1894, he won the pitching Triple Crown and probably one of the best pitching seasons ever for a hurler. He led the league with a record of 36-13, 195 strikeouts, and a league best ERA of 2.78, especially spectacular considering that the league average that year was 5.32. He also led the association walks for the 5th straight time with an even 200. His pitching was keystone in leading the normally also-ran Giants to a National League runner-up that year. After conclusion of the 1894 campaign, a Pittsburgh sportsman named William C. Temple sponsored a trophy for the winner between the regular season first and second place teams in the NL. The runner-up Giants swept the Orioles, who featured Hall of Famers John McGraw and Wilbur Robertson, 4-0. Rusie was virtually untouchable in the Temple Cup, giving up only 1 earned run while winning 2 complete games with a .50 ERA. If that was not enough, he even batted .429. Rusie's win total that year was fourth best since the establishment of the modern pitching distance of 60 feet 6 inches. Now, Rusie won his last strikeout crown in the 1895 campaign with 201. However, he finished with a mediocre, by his standards, 23 wins and 23 losses. After a bitter contract dispute with Giants owner Andrew Friedman, where the owner looked at these 23 losses and alleged he was slacking off in his training, he responded by publicly thumbing his nose at Friedman, the 19th century variant of the middle finger. He was fined $200. He only made $2,500 that year, and he refused to play until Friedman returned his money and ended up holding out for the entire 1896 season. It was a fiasco for baseball. Fans boycotted, and the press railed against the owners. Owners implored Rusie and Friedman to compromise, but neither would budge. The holdout was finally settled just before the 1897 season, as the owners collaborated for recoupment of the garnished wages, as well as a $5,000 settlement, which is $175,000 in 2023 dollars. This was partially out of respect for Rusie. However, the primary motivator was a threat of legal action against the reserve clause had his case gone to court. This was the first, again, the Curt Flood style would come later on. Now, following the 1898 season, arm trouble, hearing damage from a line drive to the head, which almost killed him, and other problems kept him out of baseball for 2 years. In December 1900, after he had not pitched for them in 2 years, Rusie was traded in probably the worst deal in Major League Baseball history to the Reds for, of all people, Christy Matheson. The trade is seen by experts as one of the most lopsided in the sport's history. Rusie pitched poorly in 3 games before retiring, while Matheson won 371 games for the Giants, became an international icon, and was part of the inaugural class inducted to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1936. Now, Rusie ended his career with 245 wins, 174 losses, 1,934 strikeouts, and a 3.07 ERA, and inducted by the Veterans Committee to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 1977. Now, ladies and gentlemen, just to recap the stats. Triple Crown winner 1894, NL wins leader in 1894, ERA leader 1894-1897, strikeout leader 1890 to 1891, 93-95 conclusive, and pitcher no-hitter on July 31st, 1891. Now, what really stands out for me, ladies and gentlemen, because I heard about this guy many times, it's not everybody that can do something what he did. To have 50 complete games, 300 strikeouts, yes, he walked a lot of people, but he was a superstar pitcher. And Ryan Thompson made a very interesting reference, because Nolan Ryan is the only comparison. Nolan Ryan would win a lot of games, but he would lose a lot because he would pitch the whole freaking game. A lot of complete games. The only comparison to him is Nolan Ryan, because Nolan Ryan didn't get as many wins as he expected, but, he was the only big pitcher on the team. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's our latest vintage, we're going to call it, podcast. Thank you, Ryan Thompson, or RTT, we call him. If you like what you're doing here with our baseball podcast on modern day and what do you call the glory years of baseball, glory days of baseball, let us know with a like, comment, subscribe, or share. Have a good day. Bye.